Hi, and welcome back to Reit Pulse. If you have been investing for a while, you would have come across various different types of financial instruments out there, such as ETFs, precious metals, bonds, shares, REITs, crypto, peer-to-peer, and many more. One of the popular financial instruments out there is REITs, or better known as Real Estate Investment Trusts. In this video today, we'll be sharing more about some of the reasons why you should consider investing in REITs. Hi, welcome back. Before we dive into the topic itself, let us just first clarify that we are not finance professionals, which are licensed to give financial advice or any recommendations to buy, sell, or hold stocks. What we're doing here is solely for educational purposes, and if you were to choose to invest in any stocks, REITs, please do your own due diligence and invest at your own risk. Well, so let's dive in. The first reason why you should consider investing in REITs is an easy investment vehicle to understand. Just like what Warren Buffett say, never invest in a business that you cannot understand. REITs is an investment which revolve around real estate. And grew up in Asia, being in Singapore or Malaysia, we are brought up with the mindset of real estate being a great investment. Owning physical property itself is a common dream for many. And some of you may have already owned it, right? So hence, REITs would potentially be one of the investments that many of you can easily relate to. So let's just have it illustrate better on what REITs are on a very high level basis if you are new to it. REITs are essentially a vehicle which served to invest in properties which are ultimately leased out to tenants. Take REIT A in this illustration. REIT A owns a building. But to own this building in the first place, assuming that REIT A wants to purchase this office property here, to fund this purchase, REIT A would then need finance. And where do the finance come from? Finance are usually obtained through two methods, which is through equity or debts. For the purpose of this illustration, let's look into equity, which is capital from investors, which is us. So essentially, by owning REIT A, you are sort of owning the buildings that REIT A owns. So then how does this generate income to the investors by investing in them? Through the capital that we invest in REIT A, which is ultimately used to acquire this building here, the building is then leased out to potential tenants. The tenants can be from corporate side, businesses, retail, tenants, and etc. And in return for the lease of the space, they would then pay rental income to the REIT. And the rental income is then distributed back to the investors as dividends. So it's pretty straightforward, just like how your parents or you would have invested in any properties in Singapore or Malaysia. You buy a property, you lease it out to tenants, you collect rental income. And this is done at a larger scale, where you pool funds to own a bigger property. Then you lease out to a huge group of tenants in return for income, which is then distributed as dividend. Similar concept, larger scale. And the benefit of this is that unlike owning your own property, REITs will then manage everything for you. All you have to do is just fund the REIT, and the REIT does the rest. Of course, there are pros and cons on all this structure, which we will not discuss today. And the second reason why you should invest in REITs is that REITs allow you to take partial ownership in real estate. So what do we mean here? As an average middle income owner, the average number of properties you would likely own in your life would be maybe 1 to 2 properties. Take Singapore for instance. It would be affordable to own your very first HDB, but any subsequent purchase would be subject to additional buyer's stamp duty. Not forgetting the down payment you have to pay upfront, right? Investing in real estate requires a huge down payment. REITs, on the other hand, provide you with similar exposure to real estate investment through partial ownership. And instead of forking out a huge sum of down payment to fund one single property, the same sum will give you a similar exposure to multiple REITs with different property exposure. You will then have partial ownership in the real estate, receiving portion of the rental income collected, and in return, being fuss-free over all the ownership and the maintenance of the property. Here's a quick illustration. Assuming that you own a $1 million property with a down payment of 20%, which means you will need a cash upfront of $200,000. With that $200,000, if you were to invest it in REITs, multiple REITs, let's say ABCD, and you get an average yield of say 5 to 7%, that will give you an annual yield of about $10,000 to $14,000 per annum. And that's why we think REITs is a great investment. And the third reason why you should invest in REITs is for diversification purpose. REITs itself has many categories of REITs, from office REITs to retail REITs, industrial REITs, healthcare REITs, and etc. By investing in REITs, you can get exposure to all these type of REITs, and in a way, it helps diversify your risk. So by investing in different type of REITs, it would sort of give you a different level of diversification because different REITs perform differently. For instance, retail REITs are less seasonal, whereas hospitality REIT are more seasonal. And the next diversification that we'll be talking about is more on diversifications of your own investment portfolio. So what we're trying to say here is that apart from just owning other class of investments such as bonds, shares, REITs could potentially help you to further diversify your investment risk. The fourth reason why you should invest in REITs is for its attractive dividend payout and yield. To enjoy special tax treatment, REIT must pay out at least 90% of its taxable income each year, which is why their yield is generally better than typical stocks in the market. And in general, REITs will give you an average yield of about 5 to 7% annually. And being a REIT investor itself, your returns would then be dividend plus capital gain or loss, which could potentially maximize your total return. And lastly, REITs has been there for almost 60 years. It was first introduced in 1960 when the National Association of Real Estate Investment Trust was formed. And there is not in Singapore and Malaysia. In Singapore itself, REITs was only introduced in 2002, whereas in Malaysia, it was only introduced back in 2004. So REITs has come a long way, in a way. It has been maturing and developing over time. Hence, they are definitely stable investments. It has been time tested. So that's pretty much it. The 5 reasons why you should invest in REITs. If you are new to REITs, feel free to download our free ebook, which will include the link down below in this video. So if you are new to our channel, feel free to subscribe to our channel and follow us on our social media account, and do check out all our content over at reitpulse.com. Thank you.